Welcome to my channel, Soldier's Legacy. Today's story is about respect, leadership, and a moment that changed an entire base's perception in seconds. The sun had barely risen over Fort Hawthorne. The desert base shimmered under the first light of dawn, its gates flanked by two armed guards in pressed uniforms, their boots spotless, their posture rigid. It was inspection day, the kind of day when even the wind seemed to move cautiously. A sleek black SUV rolled up to the entrance, its windows tinted, engine humming low. The guard at the booth, Sergeant Kane, a man with 7 years of service and a reputation for strict adherence to rules, stepped forward. Clipboard in hand, he knocked on the window, and it slowly rolled down. Behind the glass sat a woman in her late 30s, wearing a simple black shirt and jeans, her hair neatly tied back. She didn't look like the officers he was used to seeing. No medals, no badges, no military ID hanging from her neck. "Good morning, ma'am," Kane said firmly. "This is a restricted area. I'll need to see your base entry authorization." She smiled faintly and reached into her bag, handing him a small leather folder. He opened it and frowned. There was a seal, but the clearance code was unfamiliar. It didn't match any on his list. He glanced at her again. "Ma'am, I'm sorry. This clearance isn't valid for today. You'll need to turn around and wait for proper authorization." Her eyes stayed calm, but there was a quiet authority in them. "Sergeant, I'm here on official orders." "Check again." Kane's partner, Private Ellis, a younger soldier still new to the post, shifted nervously. He whispered, "Sir, maybe call it in?" "That seal looks different." Kane shook his head. "Protocol first. No ID, no entry." The woman leaned back in her seat, exhaled slowly, and said, "Understood." She reached into her bag again, but this time, instead of an ID, she pulled out a sleek, encrypted tablet. With a few taps, a digital badge appeared, bearing the insignia of Joint Special Command, stamped with a clearance higher than either guard had ever seen. Ellis's jaw dropped. Sir, that's a Tier 1 clearance." But before Kane could respond, a voice crackled through their radio. "All gates, be advised. Incoming personnel from Joint Special Command arriving today for inspection. Confirm visual once on site." Kane blinked, the realization dawning slowly, painfully. He looked at the woman again. Her calm, unshaken expression told him everything he needed to know. "Ma'am," he said, swallowing hard, "may I ask your name?" She looked straight into his eyes. "Colonel Evelyn Ross, your new base commander." Silence. Ellis's radio nearly slipped from his hands. Kane's face went pale. He stepped back immediately and saluted sharply. "Ma'am, we didn't—" She opened the door, stepping out with quiet composure. The desert wind tugged at her jacket as she returned the salute. "No need to apologize, Sergeant. You followed protocol. That's exactly what I expect from every soldier under my command." Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried strength, like someone who had seen chaos and learned to stay still inside it. Kane lowered his eyes. "Thank you, ma'am. Welcome to Fort Hawthorne." The gates opened, and her SUV rolled through, the guards standing straighter than ever before. Inside the base, word spread faster than wildfire. The new commander had arrived, and she'd been stopped at the gate. Most soldiers had heard rumors that the incoming commander was a hard-liner from the special operations world, someone who'd led classified missions overseas. But no one expected her to be her, a woman whose calm presence seemed to unsettle even the toughest officers. At the command building, officers were already waiting, Colonel Davis, the previous acting commander, and several division heads. When Evelyn entered, the conversation halted. Davis stepped forward, clearly trying to maintain control. "Colonel Ross, welcome to Fort Hawthorne. We weren't expecting you until noon." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Surprise inspections work better when people don't expect them." He chuckled nervously, then gestured toward the conference table. "We've prepared a briefing. If you'd like, we can—" She interrupted gently. "Before that, I'd like a walk. I want to see the soldiers, not just their reports." The officers exchanged uneasy glances. Most commanders preferred paperwork and briefings, but she walked past them, heading toward the training grounds. Outside, the sun was climbing higher. Rows of soldiers ran drills, their boots pounding the dirt. When they saw her approaching, they slowed, unsure who she was. A drill instructor shouted, "Eyes front! Who authorized?" He froze when he saw Davis trailing behind her, clearly nervous. Evelyn stopped in front of a group of young recruits. "How long have you all been here?" One of them, Private Lopez, answered, 2 weeks, ma'am." 2 weeks, she repeated thoughtfully, "and already running in full gear under this sun. That's good. Builds character." Lopez nodded, unsure what to say. Evelyn's gaze shifted to a female recruit at the back, struggling to keep pace. She walked over quietly, crouched beside her, and said softly, "You okay, soldier?" The recruit, breathless, stammered, "Yes, ma'am." "Just keeping up?" Evelyn smiled. "Don't keep up, lead, even if it's one step at a time." Then she stood, addressing the instructor. "Push them, Sergeant, but don't break them. There's a difference," he saluted sharply. "Yes, ma'am." As she continued her tour, the whispers followed her, stories of her missions, the medals she never displayed, the operations that never made it into official reports. By noon, she'd walked nearly every section of the base. She spoke with mechanics, medics, and kitchen staff. She asked questions no one had asked before. "How's morale? How's your family? What would you change if you could?" By the time she returned to the command office, the mood on base had shifted. Soldiers who'd started the morning skeptical were now standing taller, their respect earned not by rank, but by presence. Inside the conference room, Davis tried to recover his footing. "Colonel, with respect, your inspection methods are unconventional." Evelyn looked at him evenly. "So are modern wars. Paperwork doesn't win them. People do." He didn't have an answer for that. Later that evening, the same guards from the morning stood by the gate again, watching the sunset. Ellis finally broke the silence. "Man, can you believe she's our commander?" Kane nodded slowly. "I can now." He thought about how calm she'd been when they stopped her. No anger, no arrogance. Just quiet confidence. That night, Colonel Ross stayed in her office long after everyone else left. On her desk lay a single photo, a younger version of herself in uniform, standing with a team of soldiers, half of them gone now. Her phone buzzed. A message from Joint Command. "Welcome aboard. Fort Hawthorne is officially under your leadership. Make it count." She looked out the window, the desert stretching endlessly beyond the lights of the base. Under her breath, she whispered, "I intend to." The next morning began differently. The soldiers, who once avoided eye contact with officers, now greeted her with salutes that carried pride, not fear, and when the weekly inspection came, it wasn't just clean floors and polished weapons, it was unity. Weeks later, the same 2 guards stood at the gate again when a visiting general arrived. His convoy rolled in, and the general asked, "Who's in command here now?" Kane straightened up. "Colonel Evelyn Ross, sir." The general raised an eyebrow. "Ross, as in Iron Widow Ross? She's stationed here?" Kane hesitated. "Iron Widow, sir?" The general chuckled softly. "That's what they called her overseas. Lost half her team, refused to leave the field until every last one of them was brought home. Medal of Valor, 2 Distinguished Service Crosses. And she never talked about any of it." Kane swallowed hard. He suddenly understood the calm in her eyes that morning, the quiet grief behind her strength. That evening, when Colonel Ross passed the gate on her way out, Kane and Ellis both stood at full attention. She smiled as she slowed the SUV. "Evening, gentlemen." "Evening, ma'am," they replied together. Kane added, "Permission to speak freely, ma'am?" She nodded. "Ma'am." "We're honored to serve under your command." Her expression softened. "Then make me proud to have you." As she drove off into the fading light, the base felt different. Not just commanded, but led. Because sometimes leadership doesn't announce itself with medals or rank. Sometimes it arrives quietly in a black SUV at dawn and gets stopped at the gate by soldiers who have no idea they're about to meet the kind of leader who changes everything. And that day, Fort Hawthorne didn't just get a new commander. It got a legend.